A Less Than Royal Narcissist, Part 15. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and welcome to an update on Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, as part of this ongoing series to enable you to understand how narcissism functions and operates, utilising a famous example. I have undertaken this further update as a consequence of many demands for me to do so, numerous requests, some on a repeated basis, to bring matters up to date. When I last reported on the royal couple, I talked about how comment had just been made on the then embryonic pandemic, the announcement of the creation of the foundation of Archewell, and that the royal couple were looking at properties in Malibu. As we now know, they have moved to California, and have done so under the auspices of retreating from press haranguement. As I have explained before, there is little doubt that some of the treatment of Meghan Markle has been unpleasant. However, the fact remains that being a reasonably well-known individual to begin with, and marrying into the royal family, comes with it the fact that you implicitly acknowledge that you are going to be the recipient of considerable media coverage. And of course, to claim to not know that this would be the case is disingenuous. And indeed, it is not always going to be favourable. And therefore, on the basis of seeking a retreat from the United Kingdom, on the basis of alleging press harassment, whilst continuing, of course, to court media attention, demonstrates a considerable yet unsurprising hypocrisy. Of course, the move to California was done for two reasons. The first, to pursue commercial opportunities, and secondly, and more importantly, to remove Prince Harry from what were viewed as interfering influences to Meghan Markle's control over him. It was, in effect, issuing a huge silent treatment to the royal family, the British press, and British people at large by saying, I'm going to withdraw from you and therefore assert control over you. Withdrawal being one of the three assertions of control that a narcissist utilises. I'm now going to bring matters up to date, covering a whole range of events that have occurred in the first year since the couple have in effect left the royal family. Not everything is covered. That would take far too long, and instead many of the major events and outcomes and occurrences are covered here. To do so, I'm utilising a comprehensive list, a timeline that's provided by Insider and the two journalists Annetta Constantinides and Michaela Friel, who have provided this update, which is useful for the purposes of commentary and analysis. As you know from previous updates with regard to this series, I look at what has occurred and utilising a differing array of evidence, analyse that to explain to you what is happening so that you can see the behaviour through the prism of narcissism. Numerous commentators make the mistake of thinking that because somebody does something nice, that means they can't be a narcissist. No. Narcissists do good things, nice things. But the motivations and the driving behaviours for those things are different to somebody who exhibits emotional empathy. Although, where the narcissist is an unaware narcissist, they will not realise this. And that is the situation here. For the heart of understanding, this is an analysis about narcissism. So, if you want to embarrass yourself making comments about racism, etc., go ahead, you're the only ones that look foolish. This determination of the individual being a narcissist was done after extensive consideration of material, and then thereafter looking at the ongoing behaviours which continue to support that analysis and interpreting them through the prism of the relevant narcissism. There is no vendetta against the individual concerned, and, again I make it clear, numerous famous individuals have been put under the Tudor scope for similar outcomes and analysis. This series has proven instrumental in helping many people. It has enabled them to see, using a high-profile example of narcissism in action, for them to suddenly realise something similar has happened or is happening in my life. And there have been many people who have contacted me expressing their gratitude and thanks for the fact that this series has brought with them insight, enlightenment, and the ability to do something to extricate themselves from a situation they didn't understand. And that is part of the reason why this series is being created. It allows a crossover from a prominent and famous individual utilizing for the example of demonstrating how narcissism works, and then allowing people to understand from that. And this is important. Let us turn then to the update, utilizing the timeline to enable us to update and see what has been occurring. I will explain the relevant event, and then, where relevant, provide analysis and interpretation of what that means vis-a-vis narcissism. The way to understand this is that when somebody has been established as a narcissist, you look at all of their behaviours, actions, the things that they say, the things that they do through that prism, because they're driven by different drivers than somebody who is not a narcissist who would do similar things. So, just by way of an introductory example, somebody who has emotional empathy buys some flowers for somebody. They do so because that person has looked after their cat whilst the giver of the flowers has been away for 2 weeks on holiday. The giver of those flowers is motivated by emotional empathy. Their empathic trait of decency causes them to say thank you for what has been done. There is no ulterior motive. Where a narcissist buys some flowers and presents them to a neighbour by way of a thank you for looking after the cat whilst they've been away for 2 weeks, because that person is a narcissist, it is therefore the case that although the unaware narcissist believes they're doing something pleasant and decent and it's the right thing to do, the real reason why they are behaving this way is as a consequence of their narcissism, meaning they're doing it to control that person, perhaps for part of a facade, also to draw fuel, the emotional response of that individual, which is the lifeblood of the narcissist. So keep this in mind as I interpret for you a variety of events that have occurred in the lives of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle since their withdrawal from the royal family. On February the 6th, 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made their first public appearance since their royal exit during an event in Miami. Miss Markle was by Prince Harry's side as he spoke about his mental health and the loss of his mother during a private JP Morgan event. Harry spoke about how he had been in therapy for the past 3 years to try to overcome the trauma of losing his mother. He talked about how the events of his childhood affected him and that he had been talking to a mental health professional. It'd be interesting to know whether this individual has picked up on what Prince Harry is involved with, and it's clear that the events that Prince Harry was exposed to, with the loss of Diana as his mother, has shaped his formation and made him susceptible to ensnarement by a narcissist. Also, it's worth bearing in mind that his father, Prince Charles, is a narcissist, and that has impacted upon Harry with regard to creating his susceptibility to narcissists. Harry told the crowd at this event that he didn't regret his decision to step down as a senior royal because he wanted to protect his family. He didn't want Meghan and their son Archie to go through what he did as a child. This is an understandable empathic reaction, and of course, this is exploited by Miss Markle, where she seeks to pull Prince Harry away from the interfering influence of other members of the royal family, and can do so by saying, "We don't want to experience what happened to your mother." That is the exploitation of a narcissist of a vulnerability of the victim, and something that occurs regularly. Later in February, Queen Elizabeth II blocked the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from using the name Sussex Royal for their future projects. Harry and Miss Markle had registered their charitable foundation under the name Sussex Royal, the foundation of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, in July 2019, before they quit their royal roles. It was also the name of their popular Instagram account. Following the Queen's decision, Harry and Miss Markle confirmed they were changing the name of their brand. Given the specific UK government rules surrounding use of the word royal, it has therefore been agreed that their non-profit organisation will not utilise the name Sussex Royal or any other iteration of royal, the spokesperson for the couple wrote on their website. The action of the Queen in blocking the use of Sussex Royal meant that this would wound Miss Markle. This act would challenge and didn't provide any fuel, and therefore it was necessary for a response to be given to that threat to control, and therefore the statement that was issued states that it had been agreed that they won't utilise the name. Note that it's been stated that it was agreed. Nothing was agreed. The Queen issued the equivalent of a papal bull to say, "You're not using it." And that threatens Miss Markle's control. And the narcissism responds by saying, "Oh, we agreed," by just making that slightly subtle shift with regard to the events, revision of history. This enables the narcissist to feel in the unconscious that control is being asserted, that it was her decision because she agreed. And that deals with the wounding. In March, Miss Markle and Prince Harry returned to the United Kingdom for their final engagements as senior royals. The couple wore coordinated blue outfits as they shared an umbrella at the Endeavour Awards in London on March the 5th. Now, some people do coordinate their outfits, it makes sense. However, where you're dealing with a narcissist, there will invariably be control of the victim with regard to telling them what to wear. This is a common method of control, and also mirroring, which a narcissist engages in as part of the assertion of control over the victim. And this mirroring continued when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle wore coordinated outfits to the Mountbatten Festival of Music on March the 7th. Miss Markle was wearing a bold red sapphire floor-length red gown with a cape and matching clutch when they attended their second-to-last official engagement as working members of the royal family. And Harry wore a uniform which bore a lot of red, almost the same shade as that worn by Miss Markle, signifying his military ranking as Captain General of the Royal Marines. At Harry and Markle's final royal engagement on March the 9th, the rift between the royal family was apparent, as Prince William and Kate Middleton didn't speak to them or even make eye contact. There was a Commonwealth Day service at London's Westminster Abbey, and although the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were sat near Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, there was no interaction between them. Previously, there had been familiarity and indeed hugs and considerable eye contact. This was missing on this occasion. It is evident that Prince William realises, as a consequence of events that I have spoken about previously, that there is a problem with regard to the relationship, and that he disapproves of the way that Prince Harry has conducted himself, of course driven by the behaviour of Miss Markle. And this manifests by a response from Prince William. He won't know specifically what it is, but as a normal, he will not be drawn in the same way as Prince Harry is, and will have a clearer view of the behaviours, and therefore will see some of the conduct towards his own wife as problematic, and also that he saw towards his brother, resulting in the response of remaining away from them. Of course, this will have caused wounding, because this was in effect ignoring the narcissist. On April the 1st, Miss Markle's first project, post-royal life, was revealed, and she narrated the film Elephant, which was released on Disney Plus on April the 3rd. She had secured a voiceover deal, and instead of payment, had accepted a donation to Elephants Without Borders. This is a benign act of manipulation, whereby not accepting payment, but instead securing a donation to a charity, of course, makes the narcissist look good, and is part of the facade management that is engaged in. Be under no illusion that while some people would say, oh no, that's evidence of her being pleasant and nice and kind by making such a donation, on the face of it, it is. But what you must remember is that where this is occasioned by a narcissist, it is done for self-serving purposes, because there is no emotional empathy driving the behaviour. And instead, what is occurring is an act which is all about facade management. On April the 20th, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex officially cut off all contact with 4 British tabloids. They announced that they would no longer engage with or respond to journalists from The Sun, The Daily Mail, The Daily Mirror, and The Daily Express. The couple said they no longer wish to offer themselves up as currency for an economy of clickbait and distortion. Now, of course, when they were being portrayed in a good light, they were quite happy to court such publicity, because, of course, such publicity generates fuel for the narcissist and allows the maintenance of a facade and allows the assertion of control in a benign way. However, any criticism that is generated is what is known as challenge fuel. The words that are written, the comments that are made, provide fuel. That's not the problem. But they challenge the narcissist's control. So any adverse comments about the behaviour, actions, observations and statements of Miss Markle by the British media or any media results in challenge fuel and threatens to control, and the narcissist needs to respond through one of the 3 assertions of control. In this instance, stating that there will be no longer any engagement is withdrawal, as a form of manipulation and an assertion of control. Of course, there is always a degree of plausibility to such actions when dealing with particular narcissists. Rather than it look like a knee-jerk reaction of throwing the rattle out of the pram, instead it's done on the basis of stating that they had watched people they know, as well as complete strangers, have their lives completely pulled apart for no good reason, other than the fact that salacious gossip boosts advertising revenue. Now, of course, salacious gossip does boost advertising revenue, but the hypocrisy is once again being demonstrated. First of all, marrying into the most famous royal family in the world comes with it the fact that you become public and press property. Furthermore, that was courted. One can see in the early stages that Miss Markle drank up all of the attention, i.e. fuel, from the various media outlets, until, of course, when that started to turn to challenge fuel, then they are not allowed to do that. Of course, her narcissism will not allow her to see the rank hypocrisy that is demonstrated by this volte-face, and instead hides behind this explanation of, we've seen other people have their lives torn apart, we're not going down the same route. The letters, which were written to the relevant publications, stated, "Please note that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be engaging with your outlet. There will be no corroboration and 0 engagement." Those newspapers were given a silent treatment. On May the 6th, Prince Harry and Miss Markle shared a rare video of Archie to celebrate his first birthday. So, of course, complaining about press intrusion and the need to preserve their privacy, not long thereafter, merely a matter of weeks, a video is produced. And again, this shows the hypocritical nature of the narcissist. Of course, it also demonstrates control. Rather than be spoken about, by avoiding engagement, this allows the control of the narrative. something that a narcissist must do. And you will be aware, from looking at social media, the plethora of narcissists that uses as a platform for the purposes of asserting control over people and gathering fuel. And this video was no different. Again, on the face of it, it has the plausibility of, look, it's Archie's first birthday, let's celebrate this. But why is there a need to put this out in the public domain? There needn't be. It's a private matter. This is a 1-year-old child, and therefore you would expect that somebody with emotional empathy might perhaps put up one picture, given that they're well known. But it's one thing to bleat about wanting privacy, and then, on the other hand, continue to engage in behaviours which attract comment, observation, and interest. Of course, this is the contradictory nature of the narcissist exemplified by this compartmentalisation, whereby you are not allowed to talk about me because that threatens my control, but if I so choose, I can put everything out in the public domain because that is me asserting the control rather than having my control threatened. It's plain in the video that Archie would rather be doing something else, and whilst he engages to begin with, after all he is only a 1-year-old child, that he becomes somewhat disinterested in the book reading. But instead it can be seen with the frequent glances to camera, and of course, Miss Markle is an actress, that this was all about a performance to enable her to bolster her facade. Look at us, the loving family. Rather than keep this matter private and be content with that internally, the narcissist would have to exhibit this to everybody else as part of facade management, the assertion of control, and the drawing of fuel. A month later, Miss Markle provides an emotional speech about the death of George Floyd. Miss Markle was filming a video message to the graduating students of Immaculate Heart High School in Los Angeles, her alma mater, when she addressed Floyd's murder and the protests that had spread across the United States in the days that followed. She stated, "For the past couple of weeks, I've been planning to say a few words to you for your graduation, and as we've all seen over the last week, what is happening in our country and in our state, in our hometown of Los Angeles, has been absolutely devastating," she said. This is facade management. It is false compassion, because there is no emotional empathy. And it's the assertion of control over all of those listening. The video continued with, "And I wasn't sure what I would say to you. I wanted to say the right thing, and I was really nervous that I wouldn't or that I would get picked apart. And I realised the only thing to say is nothing. Because George Floyd's life mattered, and Breonna Taylor's life mattered, and Philando Castile's life mattered, and Tamir Rice's life mattered. But you know what? We're going to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild until it is rebuilt. Because when the foundation is broken, so are we. I know you know that Black Lives Matter, so I'm already excited for what you are going to do in the world." This is with regard to pupils' graduation, and, demonstrating a sense of entitlement, it becomes politicised. Of course, it is important for individuals, and they're perfectly entitled to express their opinion with regard to matters that were ongoing at the time. But once again, it shows the hypocrisy of wanting to remain private, but then utilising a platform for making comment. And also, interestingly enough, it shows the contradictory compartmentalisation that occurred in the video itself, of saying the only thing to say is nothing, but then going on to continue talking and making observations and comment. Of course, although it's meant to be about the graduation of the students, the narcissist makes it all about them, a platform for the purposes of assertion of control, the drawing of fuel, and facade management. On June the 20th, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex cut ties with the royal family's law firm. It was reported by the Daily Mail's Richard Eden that Harry and Markle filed official documents confirming the split from law firm Harbottle and Lewis, which Queen Elizabeth II and the royal family have used for years. According to Mr. Eden, the couple replaced Harbottle and Lewis with the firm Field Fisher to represent their charitable foundation, Archwell. They wanted to instruct their own lawyers, not those also used by the royal family. They are an independent path, an anonymous source who claims to be close to the couple told Mr. Eden. Again, this is the assertion of control, and is all about rejecting the involvement, influence, and perceived interference of the royal family. As I've explained in previous updates, Miss Markle's behaviour in acting through a sense of entitlement and wanting to achieve what she wanted to achieve, through the assertion of control and the drawing of fuel, caused her to clash with the establishment that is the royal family, a family that she married into. Rather than approach it in a way of accepting that this is an institution or trying to make subtle changes from within with agreement, the behaviour was such that it directly butted up against members of that royal family, and their reaction was such as to threaten the control of Miss Markle, which precipitated, ultimately, the removal to the United States via Canada. The instruction of their own lawyers is yet another salami slicing of the rejection of the perceived threat to control occasioned by using the same law firm as the royal family, and of course is done again under the auspices of an independent path. It is all about the assertion of control. On June the 25th, it was announced that Harry and Miss Markle had signed with a speaking agency that represents the Obamas and the Clintons. The couple signed with New York-based agency Harry Walker and planned to undertake moderated discussions and keynote speeches on social issues, including racial justice, gender equality and mental health, the Los Angeles Times reported. Of course, this is all about facade management, no doubt the acquisition of residual benefits in terms of money, and of course, once again, the supposed privacy that's sought seems to sit at odds with signing up with an agency to undertake keynote speeches on those variety of issues. On July the 2nd, new court documents revealed that Miss Markle had felt unprotected by the royal family as she faced relentless media scrutiny. The documents, which were filed as part of Miss Markle's ongoing legal battle with the Mail on Sunday, which she consequently succeeded in, said that the stories by the UK tabloid media had caused the Duchess of Sussex tremendous emotional distress and damage to her mental health. As her friends had never seen her in this state before, they were rightly concerned for her welfare, specifically as she was pregnant, unprotected by the institution, and prohibited from defending herself, the court papers added, appearing to criticise Kensington Palace. This move is the assertion of control, facade management, pity play, smearing. It's done in order to demonstrate that control must be obtained, but remember, this is all being done on an unaware basis, and the behaviour is interpreted through that prism of the narcissism. By declaring that she felt unprotected by the royal family, that is smearing them, and also a pity play. Naturally, there was relentless media scrutiny, but again, this could not come as any surprise, and it sits very uneasily for people to claim, to say that, well, you knew what you were getting into, and therefore to claim foul after the event lacks credibility. That, of course, doesn't matter to a narcissist because it's all about the control now. What had happened in the past, the knowledge about what she was becoming involved in, is irrelevant because the narcissism rejects that, compartmentalizes it. Later in July, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex purchased their first home together in Santa Barbara, California. A spokesperson for the couple explained that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex moved into their family home in July, and they settled into the quiet privacy of their community since their arrival and hoped this would be respected for their neighbours as well as them as a family. Though, of course, the arrival was met with the usual press photographs of them strolling along, hand in hand and smiling. Facade management, hypocrisy, contradictory behaviour, the assertion of control, and arrives at the point that I predicted many, many months ago that Prince Harry would be removed from the influences of his extended family in order to assert control over him. The isolation of an intimate partner primary source, that is the position that Prince Harry has within the fuel matrix of Miss Markle, is a common tactic, where the narcissist instinctively perceives that there are undue influences over that intimate partner primary source that would adversely affect the control that the narcissist must exhibit over them, steps are taken to isolate that individual. This might be by smearing those people to the intimate partner primary source so they choose not to spend time with them. And I suspect that that may well have occurred with regard to the position of Prince William and Kate Middleton. Here, an even more drastic step has been taken to remove Prince Harry thousands of miles away from his family so that he can be controlled more readily, and all done under the auspices of protecting our family and the need for privacy. But once again, that sits uneasily with the quest for fame and recognition that continues to go on. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.